Hello and welcome. I am Raziel. So, when it comes to hobbies, not just wargaming, every other hobby you can think of, there's a lot of money spent, time spent, and everything else. But for some reason, Games Workshop gets an absolute pass on some despicable behaviors. And if you were to bring up anything about the models being bad or anything like that, most of the time you get a lot of backlash. To my opinion, this breeds a very toxic community. And it's not like that toxic negativity where people are like, oh, I hate it because Games Workshop. I cannot stress enough. That's not my cup of tea. I'd rather discuss things as best I can, but not just put something down because company bad. And the thing is, like if you take EA games or modern gaming at the moment, actually, you have to buy DLC expansion packs and extras and extras and extras, right, to play the game. Yet Games Workshop does the same thing with like Horus Heresy, where you have to buy the Liber Astartes, you have to buy campaign books for certain models, and you got the special weapons upgrades through, I should say, etc., etc. And yet it gets this pass. Now, I think the reason is when we use the EA Games Workshop comparison is with EA, we can go to any other company and play better games. We can, gaming is a very wide spectrum of games. You can play anything and you can go, right, I don't have to get all this DLC and stuff. I don't, once I got this game, I can play it. And you can go back to retro games and you can go out and play those as well and have exactly the same response as, any other game. Now, why I think Games Workshop in a whole gets a pass on this isn't due to there being no competition, because there is a lot of competition. However, there seems to be a lot of ignorance. Now, I'm not saying, yeah, you're just so ignorant. I get Michael Jackson from South Park in my head for that. This is nothing to do with malice or stupidity or incompetence. It's just a lack of knowledge of other game systems and other companies. This is where I believe the root of the problem lies. And rather than being one of these people saying, oh, Games Workshop's just ripping you off, go 3D printing, carry on playing Warhammer, I'd rather go, let's look at the root of the problem. Let's see where the biggest problem lies. And I believe in the majority of the cases, so if you are one of those people who play different games and still think Warhammer's the best, that's fine. You do you. And that's cool, right? And so then when the majority of players are unaware of things like Mantic or Warlord Games, Power Battle Games, Warcradle, etc., there's so many different wargaming companies out there, they have nothing to compare it to. Whereas people who play several games, select several projects for different games, then these are the ones I tend to find tend to be far more critical of Games Workshop and tend to be ready for a conversation about it, rather than just, going down to ad hominems and arguing that, oh, you're just a salty whiner, you're just a hater, whatever, just going down that path. Because they do play other games, they got something they can compare Warhammer to. And I think that's the best thing to do. If rather than just putting all your eggs in one basket, and when it comes to wargaming and the hobby as a whole, rather than putting all your eggs in this one basket that Games Workshop is the only one you're going to deal with, branching out, trying different games, trying something else will broaden your perspective. And then you can say, I will die on this hill, by the way, that Warcradle Wild West X miniatures are the best looking miniatures you can buy. I will die on that hill. They far outstrip Games Workshop in quality, in sculpting, in looks, aesthetics, everything. They are just better models. Again, I will die on that hill. But I couldn't say that, honestly, if I never, brought anything for Wild West Exodus. And the same when someone goes, oh, by the way, that game's, those models are horrible, I don't like them. And it's like, have you actually built and painted any? If they say no, it's like, well, where's your opinion coming from? It's not coming from you because you don't have the knowledge or the facts yourself to make that statement or to make that judgment. This is a third-hand opinion from someone else. And I firmly believe our opinions should be first-hand. It should be for something that we have experienced this ourselves, not through someone else. This is why I don't talk about movies haven't watched. I'll say I've heard it's not very good. It doesn't appeal to me. I will say why I haven't seen it, but I won't go, oh, it's bad because so and so said back. It's like, if I haven't heard it's good, I might go and watch it because it might be science fiction or horror, and something that scratches my itch for certain genres. But if I haven't seen it, I won't come out with an opinion on the matter, and especially a second-hand opinion or third-hand. And that's where a lot of this comes from. They get constantly told that Games Workshop is the best, and like I said, they are not. Not even their rule sets are the best anymore. The best game they have out at the moment is Horus Heresy, and those rules are still very broken. The fact that your best game is very broken kind of shows you the problem. And we're also kind of getting these day one patches with FAQs and erratas that annoy the gaming community for their games. You put in a brand new game, you get it on day release, bang, you got like a 12 gig, 100 gig, whatever download just to update the game you bought on day release. And I don't like that, and I know a lot of people don't like that. And that's what we're getting with Games Workshop, these quick patches. So you buy a codex and almost straight away it's no good because the rules have been patched. Whereas every other company tries to make sure that all their rules are well balanced and up to date. So when you buy your new army and you do that, you will be able to purchase or download the rules, and you're not going to be worried about anything like a patch or anything like that because it's been pretty much well play tested prior. So that's the thing. So when this is what I mean, that has become a standard for Games Workshop, and if you're not playing outside of Games Workshop, that is what you believe the standard to be. Whereas if you go outside of Games Workshop, if you go outside of Warhammer and you try playing different games, you quickly learn that's not the standard in the wargaming community. That's not what everyone does. Games Workshop seems to be the only one that does it. Now, I'm going to ignore Orbats for and stuff like that for Dystopian Wars and Armored Clash because they are released as the rule set to the army. They're not updates, they are the actual rule sets, and they get released a couple of days after release of the army, giving people a chance to build and paint them. They're not straight away updated or changed from what you know. And like I said, these FAQs and erratas coming so soon after an army has dropped isn't the standard, but if you only play Warhammer, that's the standard you're going to expect. And once you've got to expect it so often, it's the standard you will accept. And like I said, if you stretch out, you certainly learn that it's not a standard in the wargaming community. It's not a standard that everyone lives up to. Actually, the standard of everyone else is so far higher that when they release an army, you don't see an update or FAQ for months or even a year after release. Because that's the way it should be. And the same with models. You tend to see a very consistent quality of models with everyone else. They spend the same amount of time and love on their models, such as Parabellum and Warcradle and Mantic. I'm not saying Mantic models are better than Games Workshop, I'm just saying there's a consistent quality with them. And then when you have this consistent quality with it, that again becomes the standard you accept, because that's the standard you expect, I should say. And once everyone sees this standard across everyone else, a drop of quality, you can say, okay, this is not as good as what you've produced lately. They go, yeah, actually, this isn't as very good. You get a very good community stating that they are pretty much in agreement. They say they like the models, but the quality has dropped. And that's what puts them off. Whereas if Games Workshop do it, and they produce models that are no longer good quality as previous models, you cannot say a thing, because the Warhammer community has accepted this as their standard. They've accepted that Games Workshop's like this. I'm not bitching about Games Workshop, by the way. I'm just saying what I see. And that's it. Anyway, what I want to get out of this video more than anything else is that people need to accept a standard that is higher and consistent with the company. Don't just accept whatever they give you. Say, this is the quality I expect from you, and this is the only quality I will accept from you. And that's it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you all have a lovely, good time, and you have a great time. And if you wish to save money on your Warhammer, Wargaming, etc., go down to Whaling Games down below, and have fun. Because you're supporting the channel, and I'd rather you guys do that than just give me money for Patreon. I'm not even a fan of YouTube adverts, to be honest with you, because certain companies I don't want advertised on my channel, so I turned adverts off. There's also Forbidden Planet comics, DVDs, mangas. There is also my comics, my merchandise. There's Skyforge. Never forget Skyforge. It's a good friend of mine. And finally, Patreon, because